NRS Riffle versus the NRS Boundary. Let's talk about it. So, want to have a quick chat about these two boats from NRS. We've got a Riffle Packraft and the Boundary 100 Oar Boat. Couple of differences, and I'm just going to go through why you'd choose one over the other. I've had the opportunity to fish out of the Boundary for the last 2 days, and I've used the Riffle for the better part of the last season. And fishing out of both boats, I've got a pretty good idea of how they work and their differences. So I'm going to run through them now for you. Now, first up, we'll start with the NRS Riffle. The Riffle is a fishing specific packraft. There's a lot of packrafts out in the market, but the Riffle's really set up for fly fishing and fishing in general. A couple of really quick features. It's made of a really heavy material with a lot of reinforcing. It's got some rod holders, a T-zip for gear storage, and heaps of tie downs at the front and the back. Now, fishing out of a packraft, the real advantage is you can get it into basically any water that you want. Small rivers, big rivers, lakes, anywhere that would otherwise be hard to access on foot. Steep gorges that you can't get to via foot, rivers that are surrounded by private property that you also can't get to, a packraft is perfect for that. Any body of water you can think of. I've also put this on the back of a bike, and I'd be more than happy to hike this into a spot, blow it up and then float down, or hike into a remote lake and blow it up, no problem at all. In terms of gear storage, you've got some tie downs at the front and the back, but the main gear storage is the T-zip, and you've got a lot of space in the hull. So we've been camping over the last 2 nights, and Dean, who's been filming out of the Riffle, has got all of his camping gear inside the hull. So for a relatively small boat, more than enough room to keep gear for multiple days, whether that's fishing gear, camping gear, whatever else. And the gear storage is throughout the whole hull, and in all honesty, for 2 nights, Dean's only got this about half full, so you could jam as much gear as you want in here, and it's got a huge weight capacity, so multiple days, up to a week, I reckon, you'd be absolutely sweet in the Riffle. Now, it's great to fish out of on the drift, and also great to use as access to pull up on banks, get out and fish the runs. The main takeaway is if you want to access small water or hard to reach water, choose a packraft. So that's the packraft. Moving on to the NRS Boundary 100, bit of a different setup. This is a one-man oar boat. So the main difference between the Riffle and the Boundary is the controls. You've got a traditional kayak paddle with a packraft, and with the Boundary you've got 2 oars, which has its advantages and disadvantages. For me though, fishing out of this for the last 2 days, it has been unreal, just the amount of control you have while on the drift or when you pulled over. What I mean by that is because you've got 2 fixed oars, you can have one hand on your rod and one hand on the oar. As the boat spins, you can adjust while you're fishing and move down with the current. That's when you're fishing on the move. If you want to pull over and fish or retie or anything, the bow of the Boundary is completely open. You can stand up, put your feet down, stop, and the boat just hangs around you. That's the real advantage of this boat, is you can slow down and stop basically on a dime. It's really, really nice to fish out of. Now, as well as that, you've got plenty of gear storage, just as the Riffle does on the back. I've put a rod holder on here. There's also that little case that it comes with. And if you want to pull over and retie or anything, all you do is you just stand up or put your feet down, and all your stuff's open on the deck behind you. I use the Go box that I'm sitting on now that I've strapped behind, so I can just quickly open it up, and I've got nice and easy waterproof storage. Now, another huge advantage to the Boundary is the weight capacity and the amount of gear you can keep on this thing. I mean, I run a 30-litre Go box on the back, big waterproof duffels. I've got a little esky on there, 2 rods. As far as weight capacity and accessible space on the back of the deck, the Boundary is unreal for that. As far as where you can fish with the Boundary, small rivers, big rivers, lakes, again, the one thing I was really surprised about, especially on this trip, is just how shallow this thing can run. I was cruising over this, stuff that's that deep and not touching the bottom. It's incredible how shallow this thing can run. That said, it is a bigger boat overall. It's wider and it's longer, so you're not going to get into as tight a spot as a packraft, but it can run really shallow rivers. So why would you choose one over the other? I think you've got to look at where you're going to fish and what type of fishing you're going to be doing. If you want to go ultralight, try and hike in with a boat, nose into some really tight spots in rivers or lakes, choose a packraft. I think the main reason why you'd choose the Riffle or a fishing packraft over a Boundary is just how small and light it is compared to something like this. You're not going to be able to carry this anywhere. You can't hike in with this. You need to be, you can strap it to your roof, or you're basically out of a car with this thing only. If you want to hike in, or you bike raft or bike fish or whatever you want to do, this is just it's a far more versatile boat if you want to do some general pack rafting or just general river trips as well. It's set up really well as a fishing pack raft, but it's super versatile for a lot of things, different things as well. Overnight camping trips, fishing is the main one, but yeah, if you want to use it for multiple different locations, plus with it being super lightweight and easy enough to carry, choose the Riffle. Now why I'd choose the Boundary 100 is if you're a die-hard fisherman who wants to really slow down a river and fish every single square inch really slowly and effectively, choose this. It's far better setup, I feel, to fish from the drift because you've got 2 oars. That open front as well, allowing you to stand up, stop and fish a run, access all your gear, re-rig. I've got 2 rods on here. I think it's really well set up to fly fish out of, and you know, normal fishing as well. So for me personally, if I was going to pick a winner, I'd choose the Boundary 100 for the fishing that I do. Like I've gone through, having oars, the ability to stand up, see all your gear, it's just very, very well set up to fish out of for trout and a lot of different species, Murray cod, bass, you know, all that sort of stuff. That said though, I'll still continue to use the Riffle, and I've spent more time in the Riffle. You know, everything in between. We've got a lot of fishing uses for it, general paddling, camping trips. It's still a great boat, and I'll still get heaps of use out of this. And they're different tools at the end of the day. It's not one's better than the other. You got to look at what you're going to be doing with it. If you're going to be fishing like crazy, choose something like the Boundary. If you're going to be fishing as well as doing everything else, camping, hiking in, choose the Riffle.